We've talked about this as well, about the protests, right? That whatever was about George Floyd is gone, all right? And what is there now is an attempt to continue to keep unrest on the streets, to keep rattling the cage, and then, as Kamala Harris said when she was officially made the vice presidential candidate, the running mate, is that she said, well, look at the unrest on the streets, look at the problems in the economy, it's all Donald Trump's fault. When, of course, anyone paying attention, which I still think is an awful lot of people, they all know that trying to link those two is a big bow. And you've got an example about somebody who's gone on American television just in the past 24 hours, and basically, well, they've shown the playbook here. Keep the aggro going because it's good for us politically.
This is as much about public outcry and organizing and mobilizing and applying pressure. Make the phone calls, send the email, show up. You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives. And unfortunately, there's plenty to go around.
Apart from the wonderful do, tell us about Representative Presley.
Well, she's a congresswoman, and look, she's just dead wrong. It's working against the Democratic Party. The riots are still going on in Portland, Oregon, right now, and they're still going on in Seattle, Washington. They're two big Democratic states. They're two big Democratic cities. They can't blame federal agents for this. It is basically a failure of the local mayor, the failure of the local governors to take control of the streets, and it's working in Donald Trump's favour. And the irony is, in this particular area, the Democrats have lost control of the debate, and the loudest voices for defunding are about defunding police. We're having a big debate here in the United States about the funding of the US mail service, and the Democrats are more outraged about reducing funding for the US Postal Service than they are about reducing funding for police. And that's not working for them at all on the streets.
Now, also, you know, we saw this where another confrontation in the Black Lives Matter protest movement, again, way out of, remember this was supposedly about police justice again. Let's have a look at a bloke who is clearly not exactly talking about police justice when he's yelling at white people that they should hand over the keys to their homes. Have a look.
Hey guys, do you know that you are living in a historically black neighborhood right now? Do you know that? Do you know that before your white ass came here, this was all black people? Do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know people like you came in here and basically bought all the land from the black people for less than what it was worth, kicked them out so you could live here? Do you know that?
Now, apart from anything else, how does he know what the politics or the background is of the person of which he's yelling at?
Well, he doesn't. And look, you know, one of the other factors that has come out is this stokes fear in suburban streets and in the home. And in America, well, anywhere in the world, when you have fear about your safety when you're in your own home, it goes to a whole new level. And here in the United States, just over the weekend again, there were unanswered calls when people called 911, or it would be 000 in Australia. They were calling for emergency police help when there are assaults and a range of things going on, and the phones were unanswered. Now, I can't remember that happening in Australia, but when it happens here in the United States, and it happened here in Washington, Paul, when there was a curfew on, when the riots were in the streets, our neighbourhood, my next door neighbours told me that they were ringing 911 because there were people in their garden and 911 wouldn't answer. And I asked them what the solution was, and they said, I have guns in the house. And these are Democrat voters. These are family people that were saying to me, I have guns in the house. All of them were saying it to me. I'm not exaggerating. All of them were saying it to me, which, you know, it creates a level of anxiety in your own home that you should never have to endure. And when you see either black or white people on the streets in the suburbs demanding people to leave their homes, it becomes a totemic moment in the debate. And I think this may be a bit of a turning point, a bit more of a turning point in the whole Black Lives Matter issue. There's no doubt there has to be some readjustment of the balance, but there is also the risk that it can escalate into a much bigger law and order issue.
No, agree completely.